Next happy dollar went to the past district governor's lunch yesterday. Rode up with our very esteemed past district governor Patterson and her husband.
What the heck?
Oh, and past district governor Mike as well. Great presentation by the superintendent of the Green Hill Academy, I think it was, the facility up there. So it was a wonderful presentation. Found out that they have now picked the location for the spring conference. I'm going to pass around. I'll start this here, and you guys can continue it on around. It's the first flyer. It's not quite official yet, but information on the dates of the location of Eatman Lodge in Vancouver for our spring conference. So looking forward to that. Quote of the week from Isaac Asimov. Education isn't something you can finish. I thought that was appropriate since we have a presentation today on USA Canada.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else?
Mark, did Steve have to sit in the child's seat?
Yeah. Oh,
Use the
booster.
pillow.
That's a booster.
And I was behind it, so I allowed to let
Thank you very much, President Carrie Ann, fellow Lions and guests. Happy 5 there for you all. The first happy dollar. On Friday, I flew to Toronto for a Lions membership summit and flew back on Sunday afternoon. And I got to tell you, I used to like United Airlines. So I get there for the 6 o'clock flight. As I'm walking into the airport, it's canceled because the plane is broke. So they rescheduled me for a trip through Newark. Now you think, everybody know where Newark is?
Yeah.
West Coast to East Coast back to the Midwest. And I said, oh, come on, this is crazy. So they finally got me on a Chicago plane at 11. They got me from Chicago up to Toronto. I got to tell you, I used to take these kind of trips and I'd come all excited and refreshed. I'm excited, but I'm not necessarily refreshed yet. So it was very exciting. We met the second Vice President, Mark Lyon. He was part of the presentation, as long as that stranger, Alan Hunt, PID. And it was very good. We had about 7 of us from MD-19 up there working on strategies to build Lions. So you're going to be hearing more about that as we go. So that's most of my $5 right there, isn't it? Oh, for the $5th, I won't be here next week. Terry Woodruff is going to be handling a kind of like a memorial service for those 2 great Lions that we lost this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. We moved up a seat.
President Carrie Ann, fellow Lions and guests, most of what I was going to say has already been said, but last weekend was a great weekend with 2 of our sons, or 2 sons and their family, and it was very cold at night, beautiful daytime, but the nighttime was so cold. I want you to know, we were so cold, I slept in my pajamas and my Pioneer Lions sweatshirt with a split on my head.
Oh, no.
It's a trailer, but they only ran 1 floor space heater, so it was a little chilly.
Didn't bug the heater, huh?
Cozy, lots of blankets, so that's one of them. Still was a wonderful weekend. The other one is, our youngest son is turning 48 on Saturday. So that's a little overwhelming in itself. So, yeah, Patrick is 48.
Oh my. Oh, way in the back.
Still
Lions game. That's okay. Not getting back there anyway, right? Yeah.
Okay.
President Carrie Ann, fellow Lions and guests, I have $2. And first one's just because, and the second one is because Hal's not going to be here next week.
Okay.
I'm telling your mother.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm on. Okay. Thank you, Tail Twisters. So I wanted to just give you a quick announcement about our programs. So I'll try to do this from now on, at least the week prior, so you have an idea of what's following next week. But next week our program is going to be a memorial for Walt and Jim, since we have recently lost them. So make sure you come and invite your family and friends or any friends that know them, so they can be here for that. And then the following week is on October 15th, Seth McNally from the Children's Discovery Museum is going to be our program, just so you guys are aware of that. And then Marilyn and Ann are going to talk to us today about the USA-Canada Forum. Who would like to have the mic?
Wait a minute.
Oh,
Shouldn't the program
I'm so sorry. I'm going to introduce Hal to you. And
What's he doing up there?
Yeah, what am I doing up here? Yes,
I don't
Carrie
know.
Ann. Am I program share or not? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
Yes, you
good.
are.
Now, I promised these next two young ladies that I would tell most embarrassing story that I know about them. But in their cases, that most embarrassing story is, a little bit off color, so I can't tell it today. So, yeah, you think about that. So, how many here have heard of the USA-Canada Forum? Yes. I want to express to you as a Lion, it is one of the most important things you can go to as a Lion. More important than an international convention. There are people in this club who have gone from, how do I want to say it, wallflowers to very expressive presidents. And the best example I can give you is Cindy Sessions. You all know Cindy. Before she went to that forum, she was just afraid to say anything. And all we would do, Uncle Walt would sing her happy birthday every week. And she was trying to figure out a way to get out of that. That's the way she got out of that. So it's my honor and pleasure to introduce two of the finest Lions in our club, Vice President of Threes and Camarda, and PDG Marilyn Patterson.
If I stand on the step,
You'll be taller.
I'll be as tall as you, Ann. No, I'll be taller. Come join. Okay. Ann and I are going to tag team a bit. And Hal mentioned it is one of the most important events in a Lion's life. The International is wonderful, exciting, and its purpose is to install the incoming officers of the international level as well as the incoming district governors. But with USA-Canada Leadership Forum, it's actually a learning forum, and it offers opportunity not only for leaders, but for everyone. And that was real true to me when I watched and saw 100 classes optional. That is a lot. So at this event, we had nearly 2,000 Lions attending, which is impressive in itself. And with that, at least 14, 19N, our district Lions, attended, and at least 8 other Lions from MD19. And that is a huge representation. I'm very proud of that. Ann, you were impressed with this event. You were overwhelmed, I think, at times, but you loved it every minute. We had so much fun. And so at this point, I'd like to bring Ann up, so she's going to share a few things, and then I'll come back up. So we'll tag team. Is that okay?
Hello. Okay, so when I got back from the forum, I just wanted to put a few words together just as a bunch of first impressions. And it took me a couple of days to kind of power down after I got home because it really was just overwhelming. So when I got home, waited a few days and wrote down some stuff, which turned out to be a short article for our Roar. So it's been online for a couple of weeks. And I have a copy, I'm not going to read it. But a couple of things that are important in there. Basically, I didn't know that we have major donors. I mean, I should have supposed, but never really thought about it. But we have Chevron, we have Johnson & Johnson, we have VSP Vision, we have Special Olympics. And I recently saw a commercial on TV, and it was, I think, VSP Vision sponsoring some humanitarian something or other. Anyway, so, you know, last year, LCI brought in around $75 million, which is staggering. So with all these big sponsors, plus all the contributions people make all over the world, and it might include interest, dividend interest, I'm not sure, from investments, but 75 mil, that's huge. And then also, one huge takeaway for me was that our club level involvement, you know, what we're doing here, it seems like it's on a small level compared to global, but we are so important because we're part of the foundation of the whole structure. So we are serving our immediate community, and we're just educating people why we're here, do you want to join us, that kind of thing. So I don't mean to sound like a total nerd, but it was pretty cool. It was impressive.
Nerd out, girl.
It's next to impossible to share everything, so I wanted to cover some of the highlights of our week. As I mentioned, there was something for everyone, and I'll share some of the great things that happened for me. I think the first and most exciting part of this trip was to share it with Anne and her new experience that she had never done, and to be able to introduce her to some of the people that I truly enjoy knowing, and it's such an honor to have served as a district governor. You get opportunities to attend these big events and meet people, and they might have a title, but they're just like us. All of them have a heart to serve their communities, to serve their world, and help us in the level of the club level be better Lions, be stronger clubs. So with that, I wanted to share some of the people that highlight my life. We had opportunity to meet with immediate international past president, Dr. Patty Hill. I was also able to meet in person my group trainer. When I was being trained as a district governor, the DGEs, as it's called, district governor-elects, had someone that was their group leader. Well, my year, of course, was just coming out of COVID time, so my training was on Zoom. We had 6 weeks of 2-hour sessions on every Saturday, and so I was able to meet in person past International Director Tony Benbow as my DGE group trainer. And now I'm going to mention the fact that Tony Benbow has also been endorsed by Lions Club International to run for 3rd International Vice President next year. So that's kind of exciting. I'm very impressed with that man, and if I'm there, I will vote for him for sure. Also, I had a chance to, again, re-meet the past international now, President Douglas Alexander. He was my international president during my year. So I was lucky to go find him at this big banquet hall and just went over to say hello, and he says, "Do you want a photo?" And I'm like, "Of course I do." Yeah. So I did receive that as well. Other people that we had opportunity to meet was past international president Brian Sheehan and his wife, and international vice president, I think he's the second you mentioned, Mark Lyon. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. They were standing discussing something with someone, so I stopped to visit and let them know that we're looking forward to Brian and his wife to come to our district convention. So he's a very lively, energetic man. Going to peel us off the walls, I'm sure, after he's done talking. In addition to that, some of you know past International Director Ann Schmarsh and her husband, past District Governor Tom Schmarsh. They are from Kansas, but they moved out to the state of Washington and several years serving here. And Tom was also in my district governor year, so that was great to see them again. They were so pleased. They've moved back to Kansas, so we don't get to see them as much. The first thing that happened, the first day in attendance, was speed learning. And when we go through the photos, you will see our very own Camas Lion, Stephanie Odell, Dr. Mark Manzel will be in a photo. There's also, we're going to have just a quick slideshow. We'll see one of the moderators from Fort Vancouver Lions. He's the current president. He and his wife Diane came and spoke to us about, what was that subject matter? Like Kavanaugh's.
It was line training.
That's right, it was. So with that, Mike was asked to be a moderator to introduce a class. So there's a photo of him too. So you're going to see a lot of those people. With that speed learning, it kind of is a kickoff time, and it gives you opportunity to have 15 minutes at a table. They have 12 tables, and you go in and you sit down, you pick a table and you sit down and you have 15 minutes. And you have a presenter who is more like a facilitator, but it gives you an idea of that classroom time that was coming up later on. And so you had 15 minutes to listen, and they'd always brought you into the table and you participated. The ones that were available for us: tail twisting, meaningful ceremonies, AI tools for lions, I'll mention that again, learning from failure, how to include everyone, young and experienced lions, marketing, leadership, Leo Lion, team well-being, putting the fun in your club. Now, don't we do that? Dream it, do it. Lions, all of those could meet any of us. Doesn't have to be a leader, does it? It sounds like something where you and I would enjoy seeing that. So at this point, I'd like to kind of turn this back over to Anne. Is there a sponsor booth that you particularly liked?
There were so many sponsors and it was so crowded. I only went to a couple. But just to backtrack for a second, while Marilyn was dutifully going to the speed learning, I was not. I took advice from a couple of people, and I stood in line at the Forum store for 45 minutes. And chatted with people from all over the place and exchanged some pins that I didn't really want, but people that came off sounded really horrible, but I'll just leave that there. Anyway, stood in line for 45 minutes and got in there, and it was a huge convention room filled with tables with stuff, just memorabilia, pins, shirts, stickers, yes, whatever you want. And your shirt. And this interesting shirt here, they have a different one every year. So if this is the type of shirt that you like, then you should go and get one. And just tons of stuff, lots of stuff. So I got what I wanted, and I was out of there. I missed the whole speed learning thing. Anyway, so back to the sponsor booths. There was one that I remember, well, a couple of, but one that I really liked was Water for Women, and they had a tank of water on the table, dirty, nasty river water, because we were right next to the Ohio River, and they had a filter, and I'll touch back on this, but they had a lifetime filter, and you could get a glass of water and drink it right there on the spot, and I didn't do that, but no, I wanted to get home. No, but anyway, it's a lifetime filter. They stake their life on it, and there are a bunch of them in Haiti. I'll say that. But so there were different sponsor booths with Braille, having to do with Braille, with sponsors of the event. I don't know. I wasn't really struck too heavily by the sponsors, so maybe we should talk about something else.
The water filter sounds interesting. Remember the name of the filter?
No, but it's on Amazon.
Okay.
I found it.
Okay. I stopped by the Leader Dog booth because I had a question. Cheryl, we sponsored that puppy about, 6 to 8 months ago? All right. We sponsored a Leader Dog puppy, and I stopped by the booth because I was curious to get a report on that. And they told me when the puppy is 1 year old, we will receive a letter of its progress. And about the progress of all those puppies, some do well, some do not. So it'd be kind of interesting to see if we're lucky enough to get a puppy that's going to be someone's companion for their life. So that was great. I was really pleased that I could stop by there. I'm wearing a shirt today. It's got Strides Walk. I don't know if you can see it. I'll be walking around. Ann and I both participated in Strides Walk. In addition to the regular fees, you pay an extra $25, you get a t-shirt, and you get to walk. The walking is just around the building, 3 or 4 blocks worth, maybe a half a mile.
Yeah.
And that walk represents donation to a cause for diabetes. And when they do this at USA Canada Forum, it generally is diabetes, and it stays within the community that's being sponsored, that the sponsors are. So it stayed in Louisiana somewhere. I'd forgotten just what it was about. Do you remember it all?
No.
Okay. But just the idea. The walk is really a simple thing. It doesn't wear anybody out, and you're participating, and I think that's the best part. I think, Anne, you mentioned the Water for Women, or Water, I think it was Water of Women?
Water for Women.
Water for Women. You also mentioned some things about LCI, but you sat in the classroom. Do you want to share something about that?
Sure.
Okay.
All right, so we had all these sessions. We got to choose, over 90, maybe 100 sessions. It was, it could be pretty mind-boggling. So you just had to concentrate on what fits into your schedule for the day. And I wanted to support Marilyn, of course, because she was moderating at the LCIF class. And so I get in there, get my seat, and it was mentioned by a couple of people around me, and I think, actually not by Dr. Patty Hill. She was very gracious about it, but it was for the LCIF chairs. That's who the class was for. Yeah, but it was very interesting. Very interesting. It was a very good class. Slideshow, they had all the global causes, just kind of went into detail about things around the world that they had participated in. My takeaways from the LCIF class were that, let's see, I had something else. Oh, the 75 million that they raised in the last Lions year was amazing. And the red tongue on the lion is no longer allowed. That's stuck in my mind. The official colors are gold and blue, so that's what we have to stick with.
Did they by any chance talk about how much money they gave away, not how much they raised?
Not that I remember, but that the majority of the money goes to disaster relief. The huge majority of the money around the world goes to that. Let me check my notes real quick.
Is there one person there that enjoys the new Lions portal?
No. It was kind of a complaint, although the instructors, there were various instructors in different sessions that would touch on it and say that it's really not that difficult. And if you need to reach out, you can definitely reach out to the administrators or people in your club. It's not that hard. And I navigated it myself, and if I can do it, I swear you guys can do it. That's true.
I can do it.
Yeah. So just the LCIF class was one of my favorites. Did you want to talk about the Water for Women or different
No, I
sessions?
want to share a little more about LCIF class.
Okay. Yeah, did you want to?
Steve passed out a copy of the global causes. We've been living with, not living, but essentially living, yeah. We learned several years ago that LCIF's foundation was 5 global causes that they supported, and it has gone larger. So this sheet that of information, childhood cancer, diabetes, disaster relief, as Anne mentioned, environment, humanitarian, hunger, vision, and youth. And all of these can include youth in many ways. And what I see with Lions Club International and Foundation itself is that we need our youth because they are our future. And it was mentioned many times in some of the classes how we could reach out to that. So just the highlight for me was to be honored to be asked to serve as moderator for Dr. Patty Hill. And the best part, besides bringing Anne to the USA Canada Forum, was for those of us who attended the 100th year celebration for our club, we all had opportunity to meet this woman and how gracious she is and how she reached out to everyone, every table at our dinner, how she went out and talked with people. She participated in our environmental project. So when she walked in, I got there early enough to be ready for her. She reached out and shook my hand and said, "Oh, it's so good to work with you again." And that really did my heart good. So she's just such a great lady. And I did get a photo with her, with myself too. So I didn't get to listen too much. I was busy counting the amount of people in the classroom. We had over 110, I think. And I had duties, and so I didn't get to watch her video and whatnot, but they do put out a PowerPoint, so later on I'm going to try to go through that again. So she did mention a couple things, and Anne mentioned it. Our logo, the legal logo now for Lions Club International, is blue and yellow. And some of our logos have the lion with the red mouth. If it's on our clothing, I believe it's okay at this point, but from here on out, we should concentrate on trying to honor that blue and yellow logo. You got it? Okay. So
For the past 5 years.
I'm going to mention a couple of other classes that I attended. I think Anne went to a different one, but the artificial intelligence, which kind of scares me a little bit. But we have a very energetic, brilliant Lion who put together a Lions International app of the AI. And so it was pretty fascinating. And if you're on Facebook, or even receiving information from Lions Club International on an email, they are going digital very much. A lot of things are digital access to us now. And so there's a virtual program out there guided by Daniel Eikens, and he's the one that developed this app. So you can actually watch a video on it. Other classes that I attended I thought were really worthwhile. Service project planning to grow your club, improving the members' experience, new and seasoned Lions, advanced coaching skills. I took that class, but after a while you're in there and it's like a fog. It's like which class was which. But I think later on those things, that you do learn come back to you when you need them. And I took that class because I'm mentoring Castle Rock Lions, and I thought it would be advantageous for that. And then there was a really good class at the end of the day. I think Anne and I both were in that, recruiting in the 21st century. But again, I think at that point I just wore out.
It's a good ending point.
But they were, the speakers were good. I learned something else when I was in training for a moderator was the difference between a facilitator and a presenter. Really valuable information. A facilitator facilitates the presentation or what they're telling you about, but a facilitator brings you in and asks you to participate too. So every classroom that I was in, we had facilitators, but we also had breakout groups. Even if it was just in your row, most rooms were pretty full. So they would just say, just take, a couple people here and there and talk about, and they would give us a subject to talk about or an assignment. And then those who were willing to share what that group discussed then they would share with others. So there's something for everyone. You would never run out of time. If you did, you wouldn't know what to do. It just was like, well, I'm going to go to another class. So I don't know if that made sense. I think the last thing I wanted to cover, are you good with everything so far? You want to share? Okay. Was the 4 keynote speakers. And we brought up the website. I'm going to scroll down just a little bit. Do you want to tell about the lion paper or not? Not necessarily.
Just say yes.
Just say yes. This gentleman, it's right here really. It just says nearly 3 decades, Sam Glenn's inspirational and artistic speeches have impacted audiences of all sizes, some audiences as large as 75,000 people at stadium events, Sam has spoken for just about every industry you can imagine when it comes to attitude, and that's what he talked about the most. It's all in your attitude. He says nobody's excluded. Organizations get better. When their people get better, it all starts with attitude. And he paints these big, giant lion paintings and sells them. He said, I don't do it for profit. He raffles them off at events like this. And that money just goes back to the foundation. So that was pretty impressive. I think this is the second time I've seen him. Our speaker, our sound system was not so good for a convention hall. So it was hard to clarify some of the speaking. Even Ann has better hearing than I do, and we couldn't figure out what they were saying. But Randy Pierce, I think I was most impressed with him because he was courageous. He became blind, as it says, devastated with a neurological disease, and it transformed his life from an ordinary young man to a blind man completely uncertain of his future. He chose to embrace his future. Is it time? Do you want to cut me off, Nasty? What was that? I thought I was getting a message. Yeah.
You're fine. Time to talk here.
He showed a video of him climbing a mountain. You know, here's a blind man. He had someone with him, the guide, but he said, I want to climb this mountain. I don't remember which one it was, but it was just pretty amazing. And then those are the kinds of things that we get to hear about, become inspired, and just enthused about someone being that courageous. And these speakers were at our banquets, so all of us got to hear them. Saturday's lunch, let's go on to Saturday lunch. Okay. Our international president, who speaks eloquent language, what is it?
Portuguese.
Portuguese, yes. So he had an interpreter so that we could understand what he was saying. And I'm just going to, at the end here, we're going to run through a quick slideshow of just whatever photos that we could collect. And you will see him on a screen, and he inducted a new lion there. So that was pretty exciting. I can imagine how that man felt. But his vision as a leader, he tells us to make our mark. And I really believe that Longview Pioneer Lions make our mark. When you walk down and somebody sees your logo, oh, I know those guys. You have hamburgers, that's usually it, but you know, it's great. And then Saturday evening, Trish Wilson, I just want to read her inspiration. She spoke. Again, I had a little trouble hearing half of what she said, but she exudes enthusiasm, and she states that life is more than doing. It's about experiencing it, enjoying it, and seeing how one life intersects another and makes a difference in both lives. Her inspiring message and theme remain in my mind with her motto, you have one more day to do one more thing, to change one more life, so don't miss the opportunity. And I think that's what we do. So the future forums next year in September 18th and 20th is in Atlantic City, Memphis, Tennessee the next year, and Huntsville, Alabama. And it's all in September, so I sure hope the hurricanes kind of stay away. Yeah. Anyway, Ann, do you have something else you'd like to say, or should we go? Good.
Just one last note. A very interesting person that we met, his name is Leon Cardiff, and he's from Maryland. And he stuck out like a sore thumb because he was carrying, the first day, so we were, I guess, gathering for lunch or dinner, he was carrying a pole with a stuffed lion head on it. And I thought, yeah, I don't know how to take that, you know? So he, I guess we ended up in the same area in line as we were all just sort of, you know, shuttled through these long, huge lines to eat. So we were stuck together. We decided to eat at the same table. So he took one of the chair, took the place stuck his pole with a lion head on it, you know, as people are milling around looking for a place to sit. And I thought, wow, this guy's got a pair, right? So he sticks that right on the chair. So we had, you know, he's pretty reserved for the thing he had, and he described that he changes the hat on the lion for whatever event he's at. So he had a little derby hat on this lion. Anyway, so the next day we're in this long line. I mean, just hundreds of people waiting, for lunch, and we are probably we're in the beginning. So he's wandering through, and he's going to end up way at the end because we're all the same color as we were yellow. So we were all in lines according to color. So we see the look on his face as he's sort of trudging by. So we snatched him up, grabbed him, pulled him in with us, and we had, so then he was happy. So we had lunch, and he just really opened up. And it turns out that he was on Air Force One, one of the crew, and he flew Reagan, he flew Bush. It was amazing. He just had this long, really very cool story. And then next to me also was a guy, 18 years in the Coast Guard. So I introduced them, and they're talking across me like this, right, the whole dinner. So it was interesting. If you just take a minute and just get to know somebody, people have incredible stories. So a great place to network, meet people. Yeah, it was awesome. Cool.
So we'd like to close with just a brief slideshow. Some of it's just personal shots of people. Now, maybe that you just saw. Do you want to do the slide or just do the words? Okay, yeah. That's Nancy Mesmer, and she is a multiple district lion up in CQ, and she is our environmentalist. I think you know this guy. This is the speed learning session. Daniel Eikens, the AI man. This is great. Stephanie Odell, they were the team that, headed us off to the speed learning. This was interesting, learning from failure. This fellow that's standing he caused everyone in that table. There's 2 tables, they all spoke. This is the tail twister guy. A little out of the box, believe me, but it was still fun. You can kind of get an idea how many people wanted to be in there. My favorite treatment. Shaking her hand. Little dinner with some MD-19 lions, really fun. Fellowship, it was called Nick and Norman's. They stamped their bond. This was a good speaker. Yeah. These ladies I had a group session with, both of them for different areas. And you can't see the wording on it, but this is one of the better classes that I attended. Here's the induction. Right there up on stage, and his sponsor's putting his vest on. Pretty fun. Daniel Eikens class, Artificial Intelligence. I'd tell you more, but it would take me too long. Fort Vancouver Lion President, moderator, my past international president. And there's a couple of ladies you know. We did walk around with a lot of smiles. They just happened to have a couple of lions there for us to pose.
That's cool.
I think we're going to, oh yes, we got to wear our hats again at the derby. We didn't win, but we sure looked good. Yeah, and I think that's where we stayed at the Galt House. And then we met Nancy on the way in, and so we invited her to dinner. These are some of the photos, and now we're done. That's it. We just go through. Thank you for listening. I hope you find it interesting. And I would encourage you, if you've never been to USA Canada Forum, it's a wonderful experience. It'll just blow your mind. So, yes, Mike.
I got a text from Ann right after she came home. And one picture I didn't see there was playing what you call cookie.
Okay.
He
Well,
tells
thank
that
you,
in
Mike.
front of everyone.
Great job, Mike.
Yeah.
Tell us about Hookie.
Okay, so in a nutshell, it was the last day, second to last day perhaps, I don't know, it was all kind of a blur. I had just had enough, so I left. And I just walked for a few blocks, and I found the Louisville Slugger Museum, which was so cool. And it's not that I'm that much of a baseball fan. I like it, but I'm not going to lose sleep over it or anything. So, but to go in and take the tour and see how it's all made, and the hand finishing they still put on some of the bats, it's amazing. And then the bats they make for the major league players versus the rest of the world, 2 different machines, 2 different parts of the warehouse. So that was very cool. Got my little Louisville Slugger bat to take home. Yeah, and also found a chocolate shop. There's a bourbon chocolate shop.
Whoa.
So I had to dip in there for a little bit.
Wait a minute. You just got him interested.
John Claypool.
Yes, I was wondering if our administrative budget is still such that it helps out anyone going to this type of a forum or to our
Northwest
district conference or
It does.
multiple district conferences.
I think the short answer is
And
yes.
what does it cover, since everybody over here knows already?
What does what cover?
Registration.
Registration.
What portions of your costs are covered?
Oh, the
Fire
USA
club.
Canada?
Like the club.
The club,
By the club.
our club pays for registration fees. I pay my way.
About it.
That's it.
Yeah, it was about,
If you want to discuss that, I think we should support that a little more on for the
Well,
officer.
if you want to get young people in here interested, yeah.
Sure.
It used to be,
When I went, the club paid for the 100% of it.
part of, what did you say, Hal?
When I went, the club paid for 100%. I was third vice president.
If we could afford it, yeah.
Yes.
I remember that too. That's why I'm asking.
Right. We had a discussion at a board meeting, and if everybody remembers this, somebody mentioned that if we supported everybody going to do everything, our admin budget would completely go away. However, with that said, we supported our 100th anniversary to the tune of about $3,000 from the admin fund. I know we'll support people to the conventions if they want to go, new people, and that's part of it. But the last thing I want to say, as I learned a factoid this weekend, for the first time in the history of Lions, everybody will be in the same hotel in Atlantic City. Think about that for a minute.
That'd be nice.
How big is that hotel? So, it is huge. Carrie Ann?
Yeah, she's only got 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Thank you. I would like to present to Anne as her first trip to the USA Canada Forum, our Longview Pioneers mug. And you can certainly use whatever you would like. Type of beverage.
Let's get a bug shot.
Get a mug shot. Yes, thank you. I'm gonna just say some announcements since we've got about 5 minutes left is all. Anne was gonna talk about, we've got an event coming up. I think we're gonna do just maybe kettle corn or something.
probably just kettle corn for October 25th. So that's a Friday, October 25, and that's at the 7th Avenue Walmart.
Yeah.
They just finished a bunch of construction, remodeling, and they're going to have a reopening. So they're going to have other vendors. They're going to have Pepsi. They're going to have different, tents from the city. They're going to have kid entertainment, and they asked us to be there. So Bob and I are going to do a walkthrough to get our space situated,
Yeah.
make sure we have a good spot. So probably just kettle corn,
Yeah,
maybe
so
ice
that's a
cream.
new event that we're just
10 to 2.
kind of doing.
Although, they're going to extend the hours till 6, so we can stay as long as we want, basically.
Okay, and then Bob Piper is on here for Resource Fair. So that's at the PUD this Thursday, 9:30 to 2. Last time I looked, there were 2 people still needed, right? Do you still need someone?
Even if you don't sign up, come by and
Come.
help.
Okay, yeah,
It's always fun.
yeah.
I'll be pulling the trailer.
So we also need a handyman to come to follow Rick to make sure he doesn't run into anything along the way, because he'll be pulling the trailer to the PUD. So be careful on your drive to and from that area. Leroy, we've got a Zone N9 meeting. I'll just tell you about that here real quick. That is tomorrow at 6 PM, Sons of Norway. We had a sign-up sheet, so if you've signed up, don't forget. And if you didn't sign up, go ahead and show up. So, reminding you that the board meeting is next Thursday, so that's October 10th at Life Mortgage. So make sure you have our monthly board meeting on your calendar. And our evening meeting, we talked about real quick last week, but we had 25 people at that. So if you haven't come to that, try this time. So October 17th, 6 to 7 p.m. It's at the Ashtown 1145 11th Avenue.